Hi everybody, we are live again. My name is 𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽 𝗕𝗹𝘂𝗲𝗽. I'm the Mindset Medium. Welcome to another get-together and welcome to another live stream, another live Q&A workshop where we get together every Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. to talk about all things that are weighing us down in ways which is depriving us of our personal power, which is depriving us from focusing on and going after what it is that we truly want in our lives. Predominantly the lowest emotions such as anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. These are the emotions which deplete us of our life force, which drain us, so to speak, which don't allow us, it feels like they don't allow us to focus anything other than how we feel in that moment. Although there is a whole range of different emotions which we could feel every moment of the day. But for some reason, when we are depressed, when we experience panic attacks, depression, when anxiety, it is really difficult for us to feel a different way. I'm an ex-sufferer of anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. I've managed to free myself emotionally. More than 15 years ago, I used to suffer with horrible depression, panic attacks and depression. And I was on antidepressants, which didn't help. I freed myself by discovering steps, by learning about the human psychology and how I could apply the knowledge I've acquired to free myself. It was a long journey, don't get me wrong, but I have managed to find a 3-step strategy for myself, which has freed me. And I've developed a routine around that strategy, which has allowed me to free myself, and I'm free. I've been free ever since. Hi, everybody joining in. I can see on Instagram we've got Bunny who joined. Hi, everybody. So who am I? I'm a success mindset coach for ambitious women who want to be emotionally free and mentally strong to create the life, career, and business that they love. And I'm passionate about the topic of mental health. I'm passionate about seeing people freeing themselves from any kind of emotional suffering, not only anxiety, panic attacks, and depression, but equally stress, worry, fear, frustration, anger, hatred, revenge. I know that most of us probably don't resonate with the word suffering in that way, especially the achievers amongst us who are always setting ourselves goals and pursuing them. But suffering in emotional terms, if you feel anything other than excited about what's to come, empowered, feeling a sense of control and confidence over yourself and your actions, you are suffering emotionally. So let's just clarify that. Everybody who is walking around stressed out, anxious, worried about what is and what will be, feeling totally out of control, anybody who is focusing in ways which is depriving them of their true power, feeling frustrated, angry, anxious, depressed, is suffering emotionally. So I'm passionate about seeing people freeing themselves from any kind of emotional suffering. And that's why I'm holding these workshops every Tuesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Stop Anxiety Now, where I'm giving you guys the chance to ask me anything that you want relating to the topic so that you find true emotional freedom. We're essentially talking about the 3 steps I have summarized in my 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks, which is a proven and powerful program which help people who suffer emotionally to free themselves really fast. I'm basing these workshops around what I talk about in this powerful program. And by the way, you get a chance to win my powerful program. Whoever emails me first to say, hi, this is me and this is how I'm suffering, but more importantly, this is why I'm choosing and am determined to free myself from emotional suffering. Whoever sends me an email first will get a copy of my 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks, which is obviously also applicable to any other chronic negative emotions that we are experiencing, such as stress, anxiety, worry, fear. Where to send the email? Send the email to Sonja at 𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽 𝗕𝗹𝘂𝗲𝗽.com. appearing right here on your screen. Send the email to Sonja@𝗦𝘁𝗲-coaching.com for a chance to win my 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks. If you want to find out more about the blueprint and what you can expect within it, and also find out more about me and my story, when I tell you how I used to suffer and what has led to the different coincidences, if you like, that have led to freeing myself to emotional suffering, but equally the steps I have taken to free myself. You can check it out at stopanxietyblueprint.com. That's where you find the access to the blueprint I'm giving you the chance to win right here and right now. So before we kickstart the session today, if you are joining in, let me know where you're joining in from, what your names are, and how you are feeling today. It would be great if you could say just hello. And also feel free to share, there are so many people out there suffering emotionally who are looking for exactly this kind of information, who are looking for ways to free themselves emotionally, and don't know how to, or perhaps have tried so many different things and think that they have exhausted all the options. But I know that exactly how I used to suffer and how I used to think. But let me tell you one thing. What I've discovered for myself and how I'm helping people every day, what I'm actually summarizing my 3-step blueprint, it works. So if you are still suffering and you have tried everything, you haven't tried everything. You have to try what I'm talking here within the framework of these workshops. Okay, you have to try what I'm talking about in my 3-step blueprint, the Stop Anxiety and Panic Attacks. It's all about 3 patterns we have to change, 3 steps we have to take, 3 habits, 3 routines we have to implement in our lives that will help us to free ourselves emotionally for good. And that's the main aim here. So I also want to stress that whoever is joining here and is suffering emotionally, to the extent that you guys started developing, if that's the case for you, symptoms, physical symptoms, and it may range, there's a whole range. I noted for myself when I didn't have control over my mental well-being, when I, so to speak, felt quite literally out of control, my body followed, my physical symptoms followed. I felt often nauseous, I had stomachache, I felt it really tough to breathe, I felt a kind of pressure around my heart, and I also felt quite dizzy often. Obviously, these were physical symptoms which I originally associated with some sort of, illness. At the time when I was suffering my early adulthood, I didn't appreciate, certainly not as much as I do today, because I know that it's true, I didn't appreciate the aspect that there is a different part to us than just our body. I didn't appreciate the power of our mindset, the power of our spiritual connection, and that's incredible. And that's essentially the work that I'm doing today. It's based on that. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people free themselves and seeing them thrive. That's why I've made it my life's mission. But if you're suffering and if you have physical symptoms, step number 1 is, if you haven't already, you have to make sure that you get yourself checked out by a GP first to make sure that you are physically okay. Okay, you have to do that. And once that's done and you indeed get the clearance, so to speak, that you are physically okay, when you start focusing, I mean, there is never too early, but you have to do that step. And in conjunction, or once you do the steps, we have to start focusing on the power of your mindset and how you can utilize your mindset to free yourself. How you can utilize your mindset to free yourself. And we'll be talking about those 3 steps today. And I invite you to ask any questions that you may have, obviously. But also, when I was suffering, this is something I would like to also mention, because I focus predominantly, because at the time for me that made a massive difference, and I'm making this massive difference. I'm facilitating this massive difference for people I work with. But what over the course of the years, research has proven that, you know, our nutrients, our supplements, our diet has a tremendous impact on how we feel emotionally. And I know that you know that when you have a high blood sugar level, how you feel as opposed to when you have a low blood sugar level. But it goes much deeper. There are certain nutrients in our diet that can impact, depending on your genetic makeup, can impact on how you feel emotionally. That can trigger anxiety, panic attacks, and depression. And there are certain foods you can eat that can prevent it or help you to become more resilient. I mean, the person number one who talks about this and many other things in terms of healing chronic diseases for people where the regular medicine has failed them is somebody by the name of Anthony William. You may have heard of him. In case you're not familiar, he's also known under the name of, or the handle of, the medical medium. Yeah, that's right. Anthony is the medical medium and I'm the mindset medium. But Anthony William is all about how can I help people freeing themselves from chronic illnesses where the regular medicine has failed them. Anthony William is controversial because he claims to be communicating with the spirit of compassion, i.e. receiving information from a source which is far greater than us individual people, right? But the truth of the matter is that through his books, the information that he's, so to speak, downloading, millions of people have healed themselves from any kind of diseases. He's the man behind the celery juice movement you may be familiar with. So if you want to know more about how your diet has an impact on your emotional well-being, and also how your diet has an impact on your anxiety, depression, panic attacks, the stress that you're experiencing, you need to check out one of his books or find him online. I'm not connected or affiliated to Anthony William, but I know that the work that he's doing is amazing. And if you check him out, you will see the followers. He has the numbers of followers, and the the testimonials speak for themselves. He has a great book called 𝗦𝘁𝗲 𝗕𝗹𝘂𝗲, containing lots of different recipes and ways that suggest how you can clean yourself. So 𝗦𝘁𝗲, you can check it out. Okay, but essentially Anthony William, interestingly, is saying what needs to be done in order to free ourselves emotionally in terms of our diet and nutrients is we need to be really mindful of cleansing our body of heavy metals such as aluminum, nickel, copper, because all these heavy metals that are stored and polluting, so to speak, our system, many of them are also stored in our brain. Right? And in case you think, hang on, where do metals come into my body? We all are exposed to them, right? When we fill up our car at the gas station and smell the gas fumes, that's how we inhale them. If we light candles that are perfumed, then we smell it, right? We are inhaling it. If we eat and cut our food with knives, the knives get blunt. Where do you think the metal ends up? In our food, and we eat it. And these metal residues, they end up in our body, they end up in our system, they end up in our brain. And depending on your genetic makeup, they can cause all sorts of trouble for us. And especially people who are more prone to anxiety, panic attacks, and depression, they can then feel it because our brain, the electric center, it's essentially all about electric impulses, right? What happens, you know it for yourself from the physics lesson in school or university, you know it for yourself what happens when we combine electricity and metal, right? It can happen that we have shortcuts, and this has an impact on the state of how we feel, on our depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. It can really trigger it. So Anthony William is saying, again, I'm not promoting him, but do check him out, that we need to be really mindful of what we are eating, but also cleansing our body. He talks about, detoxing ourselves with smoothies, and he gives different recipes. Again, you can find all the recipes in the book, Cleanse to Heal. One of the popular recipes to detox yourself from heavy metals, if that's causing you an issue, although you will not know until you try, is something he calls the heavy metal detox smoothie. I can tell you what it consists of, but again, you have to check out the exact amounts in his book, or find the recipe somewhere online, or go to the library and check out the book. But it consists of wild blueberries, cilantro, Atlantic dulse, spirulina, barley grass, cheese powder, orange juice, and bananas. And drinking this can really heavily reduce the metals in your body. But step number one is go to your GP when you have your health checks and ask for a blood test to check your metals, and they will tell you whether it's increased or not. So that's the component I wanted to mention here too. I'm more on the mindset side. That's the side which has helped me, and that's what I talk about in my 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks. Again, you guys get a chance to win one of those. If you email me, whoever emails me first why, you should receive my proven 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks, which is a proven powerful program which has helped me and many other people to free themselves fast. Just email me on my email address, Sonja@𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽-coaching.com, should be appearing on your screen right now. Let me know why you should be the one winning it. I will send you a copy. I will send you a copy for a chance to win. Just send me an email to this email address. We had a question, and I shared also on the screen. Ines is saying, hi, I've been suffering panic attacks for 8 months now. I'm progressing slowly, but it still annoys me. Any idea to beat it faster? So, Ines, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. If you stay for the rest of the session, I will be talking about the 3 steps that have freed me. But picking up from what you are saying in your message, that you're suffering from panic attacks and have been for 8 months now, that it's improving slowly, but you find it annoying, to beat it faster. So first of all, just be mindful of the language that you're using. I mean, I know you have made just a brief comment here, but you have to understand that your panic attacks come from somewhere. So if you focus in a way that you want to get rid of them because you find them annoying, it's going to be a tough ride for you, because essentially your panic attacks are trying to, believe it or not, even though they may feel as though they are draining you and you don't certainly want to make them a part of you, but they are trying to communicate something to you, right? Something is happening in your life right now, or has been for the past 8 months, or even prior to that, that has triggered those panic attacks. Something that is making you feel helpless, not in control. And if I ask you this question, Ines, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, which has happened 8 months, or even prior to that, ago, 10 months, or even further in the past? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you, what do you think is causing you to feel out of control, helpless? Right? Because your panic attacks are trying to communicate something to you. It's essentially your body's way to say, hey, I'm suffering, you need to deal with me. And you've been trying to avoid to deal with me for a while, so I'm making you stop by shouting louder. And most of us people don't appreciate it, that, you know, our panic attacks are actually a way of our body trying to communicate with us, try to heal something within us. You're saying that you are progressing slowly, but you find it annoying. I would love to know a little bit more, but considering that you're improving slowly suggests that you're on the right track. How you can work around anxiety faster or panic attacks faster? Absolutely. There is a way how you can free yourself, emotionally within minutes. And I'm going to share that right here with you. It's essentially the 3 steps that have freed me emotionally, but equally that have not only freed me, but that have kept me emotionally free and that have allowed me to achieve a much greater quality of life than I had at the time and I was praying for that I would have, right? They've allowed me to be in control. Those 3 steps is essentially all about how you use your body, and I will be going into depth here, what you focus on every day, so how you use your mindset, what kind of beliefs you have in place you may be aware of or not, so consciously, unconsciously, what do you believe to be true about yourself, what are the things you focus on, and also the language you use and the meaning you assign the words that you choose to use. That's why I've told you, the first thing I've told you, be mindful of the language that you use, because you are not really trying to, I understand where you're coming from when you say I want to beat anxiety, but the truth of the matter is you never want to beat something which is a part of you. We want to work with it, and you want to free yourself, and you want to understand what's going on. I hope this answers your question, but I will be talking about the 3 steps, the three patterns I've just mentioned a little bit in more detail just now. But if you can drop into the comments what is the first thing that is causing you feeling helpless or out of control in us, that would be great. It would give me a better understanding, and also help you perhaps understand what is happening, right? What is happening, uncover many different things. The reason why I'm mentioning this, because even though I have a routine in place that is keeping me emotionally free, when I get too busy, and there are days when I don't do my routine, don't follow my routine, and I come across a situation which makes me feel vulnerable, helpless, then I can feel that the panic is kind of coming back. And there was one particular example which happened to me a couple of years ago when I was a victim of a crime, and essentially I felt very vulnerable and helpless in the situation, that the police couldn't do much, and I knew who the people were who were involved, but the police, due to lack of evidence, couldn't do much. And I just felt internally helpless because I knew it to be true, and I knew what I was saying to the police was the truth, and I couldn't let it go because I didn't do the work, and I started experiencing panic attacks on my journey. At the time I was commuting to London, and it took me a while to figure out, hang on, these panic attacks, I haven't felt like this for years. What is it that I haven't been doing, and what is it that is causing it? And it came to me in an instant. The moment I asked myself the question, I recognized that I was feeling completely and utterly helpless, which was causing my panic attacks. You see, it's our body which is trying to slow us down, which is trying to make us appreciate what we are going through without kind of running away from any kind of negative emotions which are feeling us uncomfortable, which are making us feel uncomfortable. It's about, our body is always trying to help us to stop and listen, because that's from this place we can heal. So the 3 patterns we have to change to free ourselves if we are chronically suffering from frustration, stress, worry, fear, anger, or even anxious, panicky, depressed. The 3 steps, the 3 patterns we have to change start with number 1, the pattern how we use our body, our physiology. How do we use, what's your pattern? How do you use day in and day out your body? If I were to ask you the question, describe to me, if you will, how a depressed person looks like, you would probably say something along the lines, well, they're looking down and they are breathing really shallow and they are speaking really slowly and they have a really soft voice, not much life energy, and their shoulders are down, almost as if the entire weight of the world was sitting on their shoulders. And they just speak really slowly, right? So How do you know this? How do you know this? Because perhaps you've practiced it yourself, right? Or you have seen somebody who looked depressed. Depressed people use their body in certain ways. They have a pattern using their body in certain ways, right? Let me give you an example. There was a study which was done by the University of California. I believe it was Berkeley. They have taken a group of manic depressive patients. So they are the kind of patients who knew for themselves that they couldn't change how they felt other than by taking antidepressants, right? They've taken these groups of people and they have started to introduce them to new ways of self-discovery, i.e. they were told for no particular reason to look into the mirror and to, for no particular reason, have the biggest smile on their face, smile from ear to ear for 20 minutes, even though they didn't feel like that. But by activating those muscles in our face, did you know that we have more than 80 muscles in our face? By activating those muscles in our face in a different way to how they were normally activated, changed everything. What do you think has happened to those people? There was one person who even claimed to be manically depressed whilst she was sleeping. After a few days into the exercise, smiling ear to ear for 20 minutes for no particular reason, the people started responding. They started feeling as if they have a reason to smile. They started feeling a sense of happiness, a sense of, control coming back to them, as if the life started returning back to them. And by the end of 30 days of doing this, everybody was off antidepressants, even the person who claimed to be depressed while she slept. By having developed this routine, by breaking the pattern they had, how they used their body, has allowed them to free themselves emotionally. So these 3 patterns I'm talking about, when you start applying at least one, you can absolutely change how you feel. You can transform how you feel in any moment, within minutes. You can train yourself to do that. But it's all about breaking that pattern of how you use, in this instance, step number 1, how you use your body. What do you do with your body to break it, right? There was another study. Well, it's a year-long study. A Harvard professor, she's a human psychologist, so really interested in the human behavior. 𝗦𝘁𝗲𝗽, you may have heard of her. She had a TED Talk, really popular TED Talk in 2012. She gave a TED Talk on how our body has an impact on how we feel, right? It's been going around for years, as you can see. And she has essentially asked the audience to stand up and to apply a power pose, i.e. a pose, think of Wonder Woman or Superman, which means with their fist on their hips, chest sticking out, looking into the air or into the ceiling, or imagine the sky, breathing really deeply with 2 or 3 feet apart, with the feet on the ground, and really feeling a sense of confidence and certainty. And what do you think has happened? 2 minutes only. Everybody who felt anything other than confident and strong started feeling it. People who were previously nervous, frustrated, angry, anxious, panicky, started feeling better within 2 minutes alone. The power pose of 𝗦𝘁𝗃𝗽 is now popular, and I encourage you to try it out for yourself. Every time you are about to go into stressful meeting, which you expect to be stressful, every time you are about to expose yourself in ways which you find uncomfortable, every time you're about to enter a difficult situation, every time you are about to go into a different conversation with somebody, and you need a kick of self-boost confidence, apply the power pose. Stand like Superman or Wonder Woman for 2 minutes. Adopt the posture of 2 minutes, and you will see magnificent results. It's as though the power comes back to you. Feel free to not try it now whilst you're listening to me. But essentially, what happens when we apply our physiology, our body differently, we're triggering our biochemistry to respond. 2 minutes of power posing reduces our cortisol levels, the major stress hormone, by more than 35%. 2 minutes only. It increases our adrenaline, the risk-taking ability, and what we are willing to do and how we are willing to perform by more than 30%. Our biochemistry changes. Within 2 minutes only, our body starts releasing endorphins, the good-feeling hormones. And all this, the biochemistry, when it changes, you start feeling naturally better without the need of any drugs or any medication, right? So how we change our body is the step number 1 to start taking our power back. How we change our body, to change our physiology. I'm talking about our body, but I gave you the example of our face. The face obviously being a part of our body, but most of us don't even think about applying our facial muscles in a different way than we normally do. How often in the day do you smile for no particular reason? It's time to change it, right? How do you breathe? Your breath being obviously an important component of your physiology. Do you breathe deep? Do you take deep breaths in the day? I mean, those of you who have an iWatch, your watch reminds you of breathing, right? A few times in the day. Just take a moment to breathe, because most of us don't breathe properly. Most of us are breathing shallow. For most of us, the air in our lungs, more than 30% of the air in our lungs hasn't been exchanged for months because we are breathing so shallow. Did you know about that? So how do you breathe? Changing your body, right? Changing your facial expression. And how you breathe, they are all how you change your body. And it's time to start changing those things if they are not serving you. Before we get to step number 2, I just want to have a look at Ina's comment, who has come back and provided more info on a question. So Ines is saying, thanks for answering. Allow me to explain myself clearly. I started when I heard bad news of a younger actor died. So I was afraid the idea of dying at a young age, but I'm religious and supposedly I don't fear these things because everybody is leaving this life. So it made me think about deeply, and I found out that I'm actually afraid of dying without achieving anything in life, without living my life fully. And that made me realize that I'm a 21-year-old, but I'm not really living like my peers. So thanks, Ines, for showing up for yourself, for being vulnerable and for being honest here with yourself. I appreciate you providing this information. It's, it's important to check in with yourself in this way. I hope you recognize that feeling helpless in this way, because what you have described is it made you feel helpless and out of control, and worried and fearful, that it has an impact on how you feel. Your panic attacks are essentially telling you, hey, don't push this fear away because you need to deal with it first, right? It's the beliefs that you have in place, the beliefs that are perhaps telling you, I mean, I don't know much about your situation, but the beliefs that are perhaps telling you at the age of 21, I should be this much ahead in my life than where I am now, or the belief that is telling you I should be acting or behaving in a certain way, or the belief that is telling you I should be earning this much, or the belief that is telling you I should be in a relationship, whatever your beliefs are that are making you feel that you haven't achieved the goals you would expect of you because of your peers. You compare yourself to your peers by age 21, which is in a way putting yourself under a lot of pressure, right? Under a lot of pressure, which is almost unfair in that who says what's right or wrong. But you applying this tremendous amount of pressure because of this young actor dying, and you now feel that you are running out of time almost, so to speak, I mean, correct me if all this is wrong, has triggered this sense of being too late, and no matter what you do, it may be too late, and which is triggering a sense of helplessness and lack of control within you. And every time that happens, our body starts responding, especially to those of us who are prone to anxiety, panic attacks, or depression. So it's about starting to look at things differently, right? Starting to adopt a different mindset in the way that you recognize that comparing yourself to others doesn't really help. Because if you think that you should be, for instance, earning a certain amount of money by the time you are 21, even though 21 is really young, you know, I don't know what it is that you're thinking. I'm just giving you an example. Who are you comparing yourself to? Are you comparing yourself to the billions of people who live on less than, well, it's essentially a proven fact, 1 billion of people live on less than $1 every day. Are you comparing yourself to those? Or are you comparing yourself to the 2 billion of people who live on less than $2 a day? I'm sure you're not. You're comparing yourselves to other standards, right? So I don't know what your beliefs are that are making you feel as though you are not on track of meeting your values. You see, there is so much at stake here, and a lot of this is happening on an unconscious level. It's about what you believe is important to you. Which are your values? If I were to ask you what is in us, what is the most important thing for you in your life? What are the most important things? What is most important to you in your life? What kind of emotions do you most value? Is it, is it a sense of freedom? Is it a sense of love, achievement, success, compassion, excitement? And also, what are the emotions you would avoid at all cost? The negative emotions. Is it a sense of rejection, judgment, a sense of desperation, or a depression? Also another emotion. Which are the emotions you would avoid at all cost, right? And then the next thing I would ask you, if you were talking to me one-on-one, okay, so you know what's most important to you in your life, and you know what the emotions are you would avoid at all cost. So let's look at the rules you have in place which dictate, which govern whether you believe you're on a track of meeting the things that are important to you in your life. Okay? What are the rules you have in place, i.e. what are your beliefs that are telling you, yes, I'm living my life by meeting my values. I'm feeling if your emotion was freedom, I'm feeling a sense of freedom, a sense of love or connection every day. And my beliefs are that I'm unstoppable, right? Probably in your case, your beliefs are not in line with, this is my guess, your beliefs are not in line with your true values. There is a conflict there somewhere, right? Which is causing you all this emotional suffering. So it's very in-depth, and all this is happening on an unconscious level. But by me having asked you these questions, something may have come to your mind, something you may have recognized, something that is in conflict. You may have recognized that some of your values are in conflict with what you truly believe, i.e. you've recognized that you have perhaps set yourself up for failure, knowing that your beliefs, the rules you have in place for you, which by the way are not your rules, they were passed on to you and you're just living them, and you're now recognizing that they are not serving you. Great, because if you are 21 and you recognize it now, you've got loads of time to change it, right? Loads of time. So if you recognize it, and it may be that me talking to you and you thinking about it right now, that you have consciously acknowledged what is going on, consciously acknowledged the conflict between what's most important to you and the rules you have in place which are preventing you from feeling that you are meeting them. And you consciously acknowledging it, it may be that this will suffice for you to go, for your brain to go, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not buying this. Why did I buy into this in the first place? And it may resolve itself. The issue may resolve itself. Sometimes deeper work is required. But you tell me how helpful you found this and whether something clicked for you in there. If not, think about the beliefs you have in place that are stopping you from feeling a sense of control, a sense of strength about your life. Okay, and that brings us also to the second step, the second pattern, which is an entirely, complementary pattern to how we can free ourselves from any kind of negative emotions fast. It all starts with the physiology, and if we bring is this breakage of the second pattern, it's incredible. Our focus, and what we believe to be true. That ties in with my answer to Ines, right? Our focus on what we believe to be true for ourselves. What do you focus on every day, most of the time? We go through life thinking, right? Every day we get up thinking. And what is thinking? Thinking is just a question and answer process. All day long, we ask ourselves questions and answering those questions, right? In the morning, what should I wear? What should I have for breakfast? I mean, this is all happening unconsciously at a really high speed. We don't even recognize that we're asking ourselves questions, but we are in the background. And it's about the kind of questions we are asking ourselves all day, every day, which determine how we focus. Okay, if you're somebody who's suffering from anxiety, panic attacks, depression, worry about anything, being fearful about anything, especially now in this difficult extended situation we're all in at the moment, you have a pattern around how you focus, what kind of questions you ask yourself all day, every day. If you get up in the morning and you ask yourself, the first thing you ask yourself, oh my God, I wonder when I'm going to get my panic attack today, or why am I still depressed, or why do I feel like a failure? Why do I have so much stress in my life? Why am I always so stressed out? Guess what? You're asking questions, and your brain is incredible. It always gives you the answers, right? So if you say, why I'm such a failure, your brain will probably come up with the answer because you don't deserve anything better, right? The quality of the question you ask yourself determines the quality of the answer you get. Your brain is an incredible powerhouse. It can quite literally, and I'm a true believer of this, it can give you incredible answers, but you have to ask the right questions. So if you want to free yourself from any kind of negative emotions, you have to ask empowering questions. What can I do today to feel good? What can I do today to feel strong when I go into the meeting? What can I do today to feel in charge of my life? What is the one thing I can do today to lift my mood? What is the one thing I can do today to lift somebody else up, right? Because the moments when we feel most helpless and we help somebody else, we just gain. We gain so much. The moment we shift our focus on our own suffering towards focusing on helping somebody else, something incredible happens. I'm a believer of karma, energy, call it what you will. But every single thing you do for other people, which lifts them up, comes back to you multiple times. Yeah. So how do you focus? What do you focus on every day? And what do you believe to be true for yourself? Again, what rules do you have in place that dictate whether you are being successful in what you do, in your life, in your career, in your business? Or the rules you have in place that dictate whether you are unsuccessful, whether you are a failure? Let me give you an interesting example. I've been at the workshops. As you can tell, I'm really into personal development, human psychology. So I go to this workshop where I soak in all the information and learn so that I can share it with you and so that I can empower and apply it by helping you guys. And we were talking about values and beliefs. And I was lucky enough to share the room with a Fortune 500 CEO. The topic was values and beliefs. One of his top values was that, success. He wanted to be successful. That was one of the most important things in his life. But he didn't believe he was. He was a CEO of a top 500 Fortune company, and he didn't believe he was successful. Why? Because his rule, his belief about success was that he needed to be earning more than $4.5 million per year to be successful. And at the time, he was only earning $2 million per year. There was another guy in the same room. Equally, his belief, his value, one of the most important things in his life was success. And he completely and utterly defined himself and believed that he was successful. And you can see it on his body language, the ways he utilized his body, the way he spoke, the way he used his face, the way he used his voice. And guess what? His rule about success was every day above ground means that I'm successful because I get to do whatever I like. I get to be in control of my own life. Two people having the same value success, one feeling successful and the other one feeling like a failure, which depends on the rule, the belief they have in place. And where do the beliefs come from? I mean, why did this guy, there is no right or wrong, but what made the one person, the Fortune 500 CEO, think and feel that he was not successful because he didn't earn a certain amount of money? Why do we think about ourselves that we are not good enough, that we are not lovable, that we are not confident enough, that we are an imposter? Where do they come from? They are not our own beliefs. They are beliefs that we have picked up by our parents, by our caretakers as children growing up, by our peers, by the people we grew around, so that one day we were thinking so much about it and being exposed so much to that information that we bought into it. We started living it. By the time we reach early adulthood, it's ingrained us. We have a certain sense of certainty around it. But if our beliefs are not serving us, we can absolutely change them. It doesn't mean that you have a certain set of belief for life. You can change them. As long as you recognize that they're not serving you and acknowledge that they are actually causing you a lot of pain in your life, you can absolutely change them. If you see the future ahead of you that will be dictated by the beliefs that are limiting you, that are destroying you, and you can see the terrible consequences it will have on your life, and you can associate with that pain, and you determine and resolve yourself not to be that person. And on the flip side, if you see yourself in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, being somebody completely different, with a completely different opposing belief, a belief which is creating rather than destroying, a belief that is liberating of you rather than holding you back. And you can see what kind of person you would be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now because of adopting that belief. Then you can change any kind of belief. Any kind of belief. So pattern number 2, your meaning, your focus, what you focus on, and what you believe in. Before we go into pattern number 3, let me just bring up Ines' comment. She came back to me with the comment. I think I wrote a long comment that you could not read it all. I also realized that in the past, I keep repeating bad situations that hurt me and didn't defend myself because I didn't have the courage to reply. I keep remembering all the people that I truly love from the bottom of my heart and cared about them, but they used my kindness to their benefits, or I didn't find that loved me and care back. Okay? I'm an overthinker, oversensitive person, so this made me feel weaker. Or let's be honest, people made me believe that my sensitivity is cringe and it's cursed nowadays. Ines is also saying, I think the real problem is that I don't know how I am, who I am. This idea has been in my mind since I was 15. It's deep, mature question. Like, what do I want in this life? What is my dream? What do I want to achieve? I'm studying engineering, but I know deep inside this is not me. This is not what I want from life. But at the same time, I don't know what my passion is, what I want. Okay, Ines, you're mentioning many different things in your comments, many different things here. So to start with, you're saying that you had many people in your life who hurt you, and you didn't feel confident enough to defend yourself because you didn't have the courage. But you also remember the people who truly loved you from the bottom of your heart. Sorry, the people you truly love from the bottom of your heart and cared about, but they used your kindness to their benefit. Okay, so this first comment, you're saying that you, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you feel that you, to some degree, because of your constant giving and you receiving the opposite back, it almost sounds like you started losing your trust in people. So that's number one, losing your trust in people. It can also make you feel in a way helpless because you only want to give the best and you would never expect to receive anything other than the same what you are giving in return. But if that's the case, whatever you give, Ines, my advice would be not to expect anything back. If you give and you expect people to behave because of your giving in a certain way, it is very likely that you will get disappointed because you're focusing essentially on the things you cannot control, which are out of your control. And the moment you allow other people to dictate how you feel because you give your power away, you are letting yourself down. So my advice would be focus on the things you can control. If you are a giver emotionally, that you are giving love and spreading love, great, focus on that, you giving. But don't focus on the things you can't control, i.e. how other people respond to you, because we get hurt if we try to control other people's response, right? So advice number one is always focus on the things you can control, because if you direct your energy elsewhere, it's just wasted energy, and it can also hurt you, and you cannot really control what other people are saying or thinking about you. You're also saying that in this comment here that you are an overthinker or a sensitive person, so it makes you feel weaker, or people made me believe that my sensitivity is cringe and it's a curse nowadays. Your sensitivity is never a curse, right? People who are in tune with themselves by being sensitive, your sensitivity is a blessing, but you need to use it to your advantage, right? You being sensitive means essentially you're more in tune with what's going on with you and around you than anybody else, right? You being sensitive is probably the reason why you are more prone to experiencing anxiety, panic attacks, and depression, because you're more in tune with what's going on around you, i.e. you're more in tune with your body screaming at you, deal with me, right? Deal with me, deal with this situation. But your sensitivity can be absolutely a blessing as well if you start utilizing it in your power, right? On these feelings of, gut feelings, call it what you will, intuition. You know when to walk away from a certain situation. You can feel who needs help or where to go or what the right decision would be if you choose to listen to it, right? You're more sensitive, you're more in tune to it. And that's why I'm saying it can be a blessing if you learn to use it to your own advantage rather than allow it to use you in the way that you are giving your control away to other people and you are taking it too personally. It's time, girl, it's time to take your power back, right? It's time to utilize your superpower of sensitivity to your own advantage by focusing on what you can control and by taking a few moments every day to tune in with that part of you and just listen what it has to say to you. You can call it what you will. You can call it your sensitivity. You can call it a higher power. You can call it energy. You can call it nature, whatever you will, universe. But it's there. It's a gift to you, which you're which you are supposed to utilize for yourself, and you're supposed to utilize by being a bright light in the world and impacting people in that way. And you letting yourself down by focusing in ways which disempower you is not how it's meant to be. And that's how you can feel, it's possible for you to feel discomfort when you do that. I hope that makes sense, Ines. And finally, you were saying, I don't know who I am. This has been with you since you were 15. It's a deep, mature question. What do I want out of this life? And so on. Okay, that's fair enough. But let me ask you a question and answer honestly. And whatever the first feeling or idea is that comes to your mind, without blocking anything. There are no right or wrong answers. But tell me, when you were a child, who did you want to be? What is it that you wanted to do when you were a child and you didn't have any ideas about what's right or wrong? Who did you want to be then? What did you want to do with your life? It's this feeling, this place where we're looking at, where you're totally innocent and looking forward and really determined and feeling a sense of passion and love in your heart or stomach or your head, wherever you felt it. Yes, this is what I wanted to do, and this is who I meant to be. You see, but unfortunately, most of us, by society, starting with our parents, our caretakers, who always want the best for us, most of the time anyway, we start not to listen to that feeling, to that voice. Again, this voice of intuition, universe, energy, higher power, call it what you will. Because we are taught to be real and to focus on the things that are proven to work for people, that are proven to guarantee you a certain status in life, that are proven to give you a certain salary in life, that are proven to gain you a certain respect in life, right? But our parents, our caretakers, our peers, our teachers, they have done their best, but they didn't know it all, right? And sometimes they are disempowering us, unfortunately. Sometimes they are disempowering us, unfortunately. So my question to you, Ines, again, who is it that you wanted to be before you turned 15? Just what's the first gut response? And what is it that you wanted to be? It looks like that you are not clear about your identity right now. Because there's so many external factors coming your way, and you are trying to overthink as you correctly identify yourself. You overthink, but sometimes, Ines, it's better to tune in. Well, sometimes it's always better to listen to your heart, to learn to listen to your heart rather than to stay in your head. Your brain is great for solving practical problems, being a strategic thinker, but when it comes to real decisions in our lives, and when it comes to the things that truly matter, our own real decisions, our life purpose, our relationships, if you stay in your head, Ines, you are dead. You need to connect with your heart. That's where all the answers lie. Our heart has a unique intelligence about it. Our heart was created in the womb as the first before the brain. It is a unique intelligence. Most people have unlearned themselves, tapping into. It's time to learn. It's time to learn that. It's time to learn that, connect with that part of us again. Almost out of time, but I really want to also address the third pattern, which has helped me to free myself emotionally. And I know it will help you because it helps so many other people as well. It's exactly what I talk about in my 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks. The third pattern we need to break when we suffer emotionally is the pattern of the language we use and the meaning we assign to things. I've addressed this already a few times today, but the language we use to talk to ourselves, to talk to other people about who we are, to describe things, and the meaning we give to those things makes us feel a certain way. And sometimes, my friends, sometimes the worst things said to us are by us. And especially those people who are suffering emotionally, let's face it, aren't we usually very cruel on ourselves? Don't we sometimes call ourselves things we would never call our enemies? We are being really tough on ourselves. We are not being fair to ourselves, and it's time to change that. So be mindful of the language you use. Be mindful of the meaning you assign to things, and everything changes. They are the 3 steps, the 3 patterns. When you break them, when you start using them to your advantage again, your body, your physiology, how you focus, and what you believe in, the language you use, the meaning you assign to things, you can not only momentarily shift yourself out of any negative state, including depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. But if you adopt a habit around these, you will free yourself emotionally and achieve a far greater quality of life than you can ever imagine. You will feel empowered, you will feel free, you will feel confident, and life will never be the same again. Thank you for joining in, everybody. I hope you found this useful. Make sure to check out my 3-step blueprint, my proven 3-step blueprint to stop anxiety and panic attacks on the stopanxietyblueprint.com, the link to which you find also in the description. Again, it's a powerful program where we go deep, which has helped loads of people to free themselves emotionally. That's exactly the program, so to speak, I've discovered for myself many years ago. I've perfected it and started working and applying it for other people, and many people have experienced the benefit. Again, you can find everything on the stopanxietyblueprint.com. I hope you found this session useful. Ines, feel free to DM me if you have any other questions or comments to ask. Would be happy to share my insights with you. And I do hope, thanks Ines, thanks for your comment. I do hope you have found this useful. For now, live strong, live with passion. Make sure to to share this video with your network, because there are so many people out there suffering emotionally, and many of them don't share their suffering with other people because of various reasons. One of which being that they are not confident sharing it, that they feel embarrassed. But this workshop contains a lot of useful information, and many people are looking for this kind of information right now to free themselves. So share this workshop, share this recording with your network. You never know who you might be helping out right now. Feel free to join the next workshops next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. GMT, where we'll be talking again about how to stop anxiety, panic attacks, depression, any kind of negative emotion in the moment, and how we can free themselves, how we can free ourselves emotionally. Ines is asking where you can find my accounts. Ines, you're watching this on Facebook, so I'm 𝗦𝘁𝗃𝗽 _mindset medium, so just click on my profile. Otherwise, you can also You can also find me on, if you go to the link stopanxietyblueprint.com, stopanxietyblueprint.com. But let me just share my Facebook URL also in the post, by the post here. I've just shared it. That's my Facebook URL. So that's where you can find me. Facebook.com/mindsetmedium. Thanks everybody for joining in. Have a great evening and bye for now.